Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy Adventure. In the last part, we had to come here to fight Lich so we can get the Book of Nuke, and now we're going to be doing just that, actually, because this cave is really short. In fact, I think after going down this staircase, we're here. Yeah, this is like a really short cave. I'm not even sure what the point of it is. Also, I did my grinding off screen, as you can see. That's my stats now. Anyway, time for Lich. Lich is a fairly easy boss, and again, at my level, and at this point in the game, they all become pretty standard and easy bosses. As far as I'm aware, you can only hit his head, or at least an area around his head. And he likes to shoot skulls at you. I don't think the skulls do anything. They might inflict dark or poison, I'm not sure. Don't even waste MP aside from healing. He'll go down with enough axe swings to the body, face thing. But that's 3 Final Fantasy 1? Well, 3 of the 4 fiends from Final Fantasy 1 at least. So let's see if we can find a 4th. Either way, we got Nuke. Nuke is a very high damage spell, which we can use to open up the Cave of Ruins, which is right here. Now the thing is, Nuke, I've never been sure on how it exactly works, because I don't use it too much. I forget if it has homing capabilities, but I know it goes straight forward otherwise. Very similarly to lightning. In fact, I think it does just that. I'll post otherwise if it's on the screen. Or, I'll post on the screen otherwise if I had that wrong. Now, the CAPTCHA Ruins is fairly straightforward, but it does have some oddities. Like these enemies here, these robots can only be killed by lightning as far as I'm aware. It usually takes one shot to take them down. Either way, in the first room, we're supposed to head north to progress, but we want to head east first so we can find this chest, which has the dragon shield. Second best shield in the game, so we're putting that on right now. And if you wonder where the best shield is, well, it's in like the third to last screen or so, whatever. I'll get to that later. It's pretty much a random drop from an enemy, but I'll get more into the 3 best things of their specific equipment type towards the end of the part. Also, throw away any spell items because they're not useful at all, really. They're more powerful, I believe? No, actually, I think the 2 is actually their use number, so yeah, they're not too useful. Anyway, on this screen, we want to head west so we can get more stuff. As with as with other places, don't walk into the sparkly things, they hurt you a lot. Which, well, isn't good. And here we get the Dragon Sword, second best sword in the game. In fact, I think it might be the second best weapon in the game, if my memory serves right. I'm not sure if it has any special things it can kill. Like the Silver Sword can kill undead enemies, but if it does, it's probably that it does extra damage against dragon-type enemies, which there aren't many of. Now, this is actually me having a complete and total brain fart, because I didn't remember where to go for about 20 seconds. I think that's maybe the first time that's happened in this entire LP. I did pretty well remembering this game. But we actually had to head east there, obviously, not north. In fact, I'm not even sure why the room on the north is there, other than so you can get slightly lost. No, I really hate getting stoned in this game. I don't mind it in mainstream Final Fantasy titles because, well, those are an RPG environment. There's at least other things I can do while I'm stoned. In this, I just have to either use the heal spell, which I don't feel like doing because I want to save the MP for curing, or I just stand there, and I usually just find myself standing there. Also, why are they still throwing these ducks at us? We've been fighting these things for like 2 dungeons. They're not hard. These guys, that's a different story. Either way, we're coming up with a boss, so get Cure out. And he'll be familiar to Secret of Mana players. The Mantis Ant, the first boss from Secret of Mana, actually. And he's like the 3rd or 4th to last here. Mantis Ant is actually an extremely simple boss. He only really likes to move around. I don't think he has any projectile attacks. I think his only form of damage is touch damage, which actually does have a lot of knockback, so I'm guessing so he can send you into the sparkly things of doom. Basic strategy is the same as the rest at this point, really. Just mash the attack button in front of him. He'll die eventually. I honestly find him harder in Secret of Mana because I'm a lot lower leveled at that point. And here it's not entirely clear about what you have to do. You have to step on the switch with the rusty sword equipped. Rusty sword released its mystic power. What? Tower of Dime will appear somewhere in this desert. And we need to find that. But first, I do the second to last grind fest in the game. This time all the way to level 61. One left in the game, and it's right before the final area. Actually, no, it is technically in the final area. Anyway, when it comes to this screen, we see the Tower of Dime itself rise from the sand. It's honestly kind of a rather long transition sequence. This isn't needed. It can just kind of go straight up a lot faster. You know, kind of like in Final Fantasy V, the scene of the one tower falling. It could just be the opposite of that. Just make this thing rise really quick. I am Marcy. I search relics. Dr. Bow Wow made me. He left me here. I waited 50 years. He forgot me. By the way, that's the last time we see the Chocobo in the story. I can help you. Take me with you. And now we got Marcy. Marcy is actually my favorite companion in the game. She, first off, as an attack, will use lasers. Her ask command is that she'll restore your MP to max. Which I absolutely love. Yeah, that guy can Moogle you, by the way. When it comes to Marcy, she actually has a translation difference. Her name in Japan is actually Marshall. Or at least I think it's a transliteration for Marshall. Anyway, the Tower of Dime is maybe the longest dungeon in the game. I honestly can't tell. A lot of the dungeons in this game are pretty short if you know where to go. I guess that's where the main length came from for people who are playing the game, is trying to find all the hidden passageways and such. But since I know where all they all are, it's not that long, honestly. Anyway, in this room, you're gonna need to whip into the center of this little cage thing and step on all 4 switches. I think that's how it works. Sometimes it's 1 switch, sometimes it's all 4. In this place, you can actually find stone tablets, which actually explain part of the thing of the Vandal Empire, which has been mentioned a couple times. They're the previous empire tried to conquer the world with the power of mana, like the Glaive Empire was trying to doing with the Dark Lord. Pretty much, the Geminites fought against them to achieve peace. They were losing the battle because the power of mana was too strong, but the girl's mother assured of their victory and Vandal was defeated. However, when Vandal's empire's side was losing by the combined forces of the Geminites and the Mana family, as you're learning here, the Emperor actually left their last hope in the caves of the waterfalls. And that last hope was actually found by the Dark Lord and raised. We'll find out who that is, I believe, next part. If not, I'll explain it myself. But you can find basic explanation to some of the plot backstory stuff here in this dungeon by going into certain rooms where there's stone tablets. You'll see one of them here, but I think there might be 2 or 3 more. I don't know. I never really fully explored this place. Like, I think there's one to the north of me right now, actually. Also, why the hell is the sky black? Unless it's supposed to be the shadow of the next floor. What the hell? But hey, inside area with unique music. That's how you know you'll get into the end of the game when... Or at least, well, actually, no. Basic rule of thumb with RPGs. If you're towards the end of the game, areas start having a lot more unique music. And if it's a multi-disc RPG, if an area has a unique theme, that likely means you're probably getting towards the end of the disc. Or, like, really kick-ass awesome unique theme. Yeah. Anyway, here we get the dragon armor, second best armor in the game. I'm gonna throw away the ice armor because we don't need it anymore. Also, notice how we still have that opal helmet from, like, what, part 3 or 4? Yeah, that thing... They really don't have enough helmets in the game, honestly. That's one thing I think I'll give to the remake, is that it had a lot more equipment, if I recall. If I recall is a keyword. It's been a long time since I played through Sword of Mana, actually. I didn't really like it that much. Then again, as I mentioned, I'm not a terribly big fan of the Secret of Mana gameplay style. It's a bit slow with all the menuing you have to do. Anyway, I think to the south, there's a bed you can use to heal, but you have an infinite MP with Marcy, so I don't get the point of that. I think to the north may have been a shop or something, I'm not sure, I've never actually gone north in that room. Anyway, and here we got an ice puzzle, but it's thankfully a rather easy one. The Minotaurs can't actually get to the trees, and since there's stumps there, they can't get through those either. So just do your basic thing, freeze them on the switches. This is probably the easiest one in the game, and I think it's the one they saved for last. I think. Now, while Marcy just killed one of the things, thankfully the way that these switches work, I think, is that they just have to have been pressed. So, since she killed one but it's still opened, that means that that was probably the way it worked. Also, it's notable, during when I was doing my level grinding, I made sure to fill my inventory, as you can see there. There's a reason for that. And it has to do with the best equipment in the game. I'll get to that when we actually get to the final area, but, well, mind you, it's only like, what, 2 minutes away? But still. I'll explain that, don't worry. Also, yeah, I'm a bit late in showing it, but that was my stats now, after I did my second to last grind session. And now it's time to get Cure out, make sure you have full HP, and be prepared for the next boss, Garuda, this guy, who was explained in the plot once before. Yet again, another Final Fantasy III thing, because Garuda was in that game first. Anyway, Garuda is actually a pretty easy boss. He just likes to move around the stage like that, shoot a couple of feathers every now and then, which can hurt. But otherwise, he's not too hard. But yet again, as I mentioned before, when you're as high leveled as I am, you don't really have to worry about taking damage because of how high your stamina is. Mars Tower lost its balance. Must hurry out. So it's a load-bearing boss. Anyway, this is weird. The Tower of Dime links right up to Castle Glaive. What? Oh, well, that's inconvenient. Oh no. I throw you, and I jump. Can you? Let's do that. Whee! Ow, my ankle. Now, come on, Marcy. You have to save the world. You are the only hope. What are you talking about? Come on! I am unable to jump. What? I was made to work in here, and I sleep here. Marcy! Now, it's not the music that actually gets me about this part. It's this. See you sometime, kid. That line actually kind of makes me tear up a bit for one reason alone. It reminds me of Cowboy Bebop. Though the song is really nice. Anyway, let's head west. And yet again, Golden Sun inspiration right here. Time to head up the waterfall, actually. For once, we're heading up the waterfall instead of falling down it. And with that, we're on top of the waterfall. Well, right. Now, hey, Steam, how you doing? And I love the music for this final area. Now, it's in this final area that you can get the 3 best pieces of equipment in the game. However, they can be tricky to get because they're random drops from enemies that have 2 items. One of which is the ninja here, whose sprite is ripped right out of Final Fantasy III. He can drop the samurai armor. An ogre head that you can see you'll see at the very end of the part can drop the samurai helmet. And then there's the Aegis shield, which is dropped by an enemy we'll see next part. For all 3 of those, the best way to get their random drop is to make sure your inventory is full, but not your equipment inventory. Because when your item inventory is full, you can go up against the chest and it'll say, can't carry because your inventory is full. But the thing is, it's not until the thing is actually opened that its contents are revealed to you. So if you just keep on hunking up against it, you'll eventually get the samurai armor and helmet. I'm gonna be doing that in between parts with my last level grind session, which I'll say right now is up to level 65. And another boss time! The dragon, who might as well be Tiamat, honestly. Because then we could have all the Final Fantasy I fiends. The dragon just likes to kind of go up in a weird circular pattern while shooting fire at you. He's not very hard. Yet again, as I've said, I'm over-leveled, and I have a lot of HP. Honestly, if you want this game to be somewhat challenging, I only have around 300 HP at this point, because then you'll actually be taking decent damage. Anyway, with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. By the way, these are the ogre heads that drop the samurai helmet. thank you guys for watching, and in part 11, we're ending off the game, ladies and gentlemen. See you guys then, as soon as I walk into the teleporter. There we go. See ya.